All right, y'all. So listen, man, we back with another video. So this video here, we're gonna check out some hidden cities and lost and ancient civilizations. All right, this video is titled "A Man Finds an Ancient City Underground." I keep telling y'all, man, pay attention and start looking for these underground cities. We may need to go back and find them so we can live there possibly. But a man finds an ancient city underground when he demolished a wall in front of his house. Oh, this should be crazy. All right, so if you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, join the fam, and let's check this out.
Humans have always adapted to their surroundings. One of the things we built to survive are cities beneath the ground. Some of them exist to this day. From the city of Derinkuyu to a prestigious salt mine, here are 20 incredible underground cities that still exist. Number 20. Derinkuyu. In 1963, a local resident was renovating a wall in his basement when he noticed the other side was hollow. Driven by curiosity and perhaps the fact that he already made a small hole in the wall, he made a bigger hole to find out what was on the other side. Needless to say, he didn't expect what he found. On the other side of his basement wall was a tunnel connected to the great underground city of Derinkuyu, a subterranean labyrinth extending over 280 feet deep with 18 levels of interconnected tunnels and
I know y'all think the same thing I'm thinking. Like, how do you not know a whole city, whole entire city is up under you? And you've been living on top of it for I don't know how long. It's easy, man. It's easy to not know it's there, bro. Easy.
Chambers. This accidental find led to the rediscovery of the secret city that once sheltered up to 20,000 people. In its zenith, Derinkuyu served as a home to Christians seeking refuge from persecution. In this subterranean city, people had everything they needed: wine presses, kitchens, storage rooms, a church, water wells, and even stables for livestock. The city was also designed with ventilation shafts to ensure the air would circulate even deep underground. It's also noticeable that people who established Derinkuyu prioritized their safety. Large stone doors could be rolled across passages to seal off sections of the city from invaders. These doors were so heavy that it took several people to move them, but once in place, they could only be opened from the inside. With no need to hide as tensions dwindled, people slowly forgot the city of Derinkuyu. To this day, however, this underground city is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site and attracts thousands of visitors each year. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 19. Berlin Underground City. At the height of World War II, relentless bombings ravaged Europe. With civilians being affected, authorities needed to find a way to minimize casualties. The answer? Air raid shelters beneath the city. Initially built in 1942, this massive concrete fortress provided refuge for thousands during air raids. In the Cold War, however, these tunnels were converted from air raid shelters to fallout shelters, ready to house thousands in case of a nuclear attack. These shelters were equipped with everything from beds to air filtration systems designed to sustain life for weeks. However, the underground network that runs beneath Berlin is expansive. Urban explorers occasionally discover forgotten bunkers, tunnels, and relics of Berlin's turbulent past. Today, however, the remnants of these shelters and subterranean passages are nothing but a reminder of one of the most painful periods in the history of mankind. Number 18.
I want one of those under my house or near my house so bad, bro. How much does one cost? Like, I know it depends on how big you want it to be and how much stuff, but give me like a roundabout figure of what I'm looking at to have something like that built underground, man. Just thinking, like, we need to be prepared.
Matmata. Deep in the remote landscapes of southern Tunisia is one of the greatest dwellings ever created. In the village of Matmata are troglodyte dwellings, homes carved directly into the soft limestone of the region. Together, these homes create a network of underground living spaces unlike anything we've seen before. These unique homes, which have been used for centuries by the Berber people, are carved into the ground to form a central courtyard surrounded by interconnected rooms. This ingenious design keeps the interiors cool in the scorching summer heat and warm during the chilly winters. The courtyards not only serve as communal areas for daily activities, but also provide much-needed ventilation and natural light, making the subterranean home surprisingly comfortable. The greatest proof showing just how incredible these dwellings are is the fact that, to this day, several of these dwellings are still inhabited. If you're curious, the local families that reside here often welcome visitors to explore their homes and learn about their way of living. However, as newer generations begin to take over, it might not be long until the dwellings in the village are all left behind. After all, despite its historical significance, it's easy to abandon these dwellings in exchange for the convenience and opportunities the urban areas offer. Number 17. Coober Pedy. Now, most of you are probably already familiar with Coober Pedy. This town in the heart of the South Australian outback is known as the opal capital of the world, and it's one of the few underground cities that's still inhabited to this day. In this town, houses are known as dugouts. It's quite fitting, as they're embedded deep in the ground. There's a reason behind the placement of these dugouts. In Coober Pedy, temperatures can soar to a scorching 45 degrees Celsius or 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Being inside a dugout ensures the temperatures remain a cozy 23 degrees Celsius or 73 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. As of 2023, Coober Pedy has a population of around 2,500 people, with most of them having a long history with the town itself. One of the most famous dugouts in Coober Pedy is Faye's underground home. You see, this subterranean shelter was hand-dug by Faye Naylor along with two friends over a span of not one, but a staggering 10 years. It's safe to say that this underground home was literally created with blood, sweat, and tears. Aside from Faye's home, the town also features the Serbian Orthodox Church, a beautiful underground sanctuary carved into the rock. Another must-see is the Yamuna Opal Mine and Museum, which provides a deep dive into the history of opal mining and the life of the First Nations people in the area. The museum includes a fascinating documentary about opal formation and a tour of an old mine. While Coober Pedy is neither the largest nor the first underground settlement, it continues to be among the most renowned places to this day because of its long history and its people who continue to preserve the dugouts. Number 16. Dixiacheng. In 1969, rising tensions between China and the Soviet Union pushed people to carry out a desperate measure. In fear of nuclear war breaking out, Chairman Mao Zedong issued a directive to dig deep tunnels. Responding to this call, around 300,000 Beijing citizens, including school children, set to work with basic tools, excavating by hand. Over a decade, they created a sprawling network of tunnels covering approximately 85 square kilometers, with passages extending some 30 kilometers in length. Dixiacheng was designed to be a fully self-sufficient underground city, capable of housing up to 6 million people, nearly 40% of Beijing's population at the time. It was built with people's safety and comfort in mind. Not only did it have a lot of space, but it also had most things people would find in the city above: restaurants, theaters, warehouses, factories, sports facilities, and even a mushroom farm. The infrastructure included advanced ventilation systems that could be sealed off from the outside world to protect against nuclear fallout. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, Dixiacheng was never used for its intended purpose. Years passed, and despite extensive preparations, this underground city remains unused. By the 1980s, parts of the complex have been repurposed for civilian use. Some sections were converted into offices, shops, and even residential units. These underground homes provided affordable housing options in an increasingly expensive city. By 2008, however, the condition of some parts of the infrastructure were dire enough for authorities to order its closure to tourists. Today, however, locals have transformed vacated tunnels into recreational areas. Number 15. Shanghai Tunnels. The Shanghai Tunnels might sound like an underground tunnel complex in Shanghai, China, but this subterranean settlement is actually a part of Portland, Oregon. This underground labyrinth, known as the Old Portland Underground, is a network of passages that dates back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Now, originally, these tunnels were merely constructed for practical purposes, like transporting goods to avoid street congestion. In time, however, they became associated with Shanghaiing, a form of illicit practices that are carried out discreetly through the dens, trapdoors, and other secret passageways.
Now, I like how they have brick down there. Most of the ones you see or come across is either you see the dirt or you see these wood braces holding it up. And you just gotta hope and pray that whoever designed this understood engineering or whatever it is, was an engineer and was able to make sure this stuff is gonna hold and not collapse down on you. So when I see brick, I feel a little bit better Not 100%, but that's probably the way I would want to go about things and have mine designed and built, dealing with brick or something like that.
In the underground complex, the exact illicit transactions that occurred in the Shanghai Tunnels remain shrouded in mystery, and the extent of Shanghaiing in Portland is debated among historians. But the dark mark of the Shanghai Tunnels will forever remain. Despite this fact, the Shanghai Tunnels remain a popular tourist attraction, offering guided tours that blend historical facts with the spine-tingling tales of the past. Number 14. Paris Catacombs. Paris is known as the City of Love and the City of Lights. Paris is known for its breathtaking architectural marvels, including the iconic Eiffel Tower. However, if there's another nickname Paris should obtain, it's the City of Death. You see, beneath the sprawling and bustling city of Paris is a city inhabited by the dead. About 131 steps down, 65 feet underground, is one of the largest grave sites in the world. The catacombs of Paris aren't a secret. It's just that the glamour of the city above often hides its existence. This sprawling tunnel complex holds the remains of over 6 million people. Most of these people perished back in the 18th century when Paris faced a massive public health crisis due to overflowing cemeteries. To address this, the authorities decided to move the remains to the city's ancient limestone quarries, some of which were nearly 1,000 years old by then. This relocation began in 1786, and that same year, nightly processions of bones were seen being transported by cart through the streets of Paris. Despite being a horrific collection of bones with walls lined with human skulls, several people continue to visit the catacombs of Paris. Recently, an unknown group even converted one of its sections into a cinema. The culprits were never caught. Number 13. Wieliczka Salt Mine. At first glance, it's hard to believe that the Wieliczka salt mine was created merely to mine salt. After all, it's one of the most magnificent underground places on the planet. Dating back to the 13th century, the Wieliczka salt mine is one of the world's oldest operating salt mines, having produced table salt continuously until 2007. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a Polish historic monument. The mine stretches over 178 miles horizontally and reaches a depth of 1,073 feet below the surface, which is deeper than the Eiffel Tower is tall. Now within this structure are 9 levels, each distinct from each other. The Wieliczka salt mine is truly astounding, especially once you see the Chapel of St. Kinga. Yes, you heard that right. There's a chapel in the salt mine. This chapel, carved entirely out of salt by miners, spans over 400 square meters and can accommodate up to 400 people. Everything in the chapel, from the altar to the chandeliers, is crafted from salt. Incredible! It's no wonder that the salt mine receives hundreds of visitors annually. Those who explore the mines are free to don miners' attire and experience it as workers did centuries ago. Except this time, there are less risks. And there's no need for you to put one of your feet to death just to mine salt. Number 12. Pilsen Historical Underground. In 1925, the town of Pilsen in the Czech Republic was founded. Now beneath this area is the Pilsen Historical Underground, a complex system of tunnels that has been part of the town since its founding. This complex includes a network of corridors, cellars, and wells. Throughout history, this place has served several purposes, from simple food storage to secret escape routes. In fact, legend has it that during sieges, the townsfolk could slip away through these underground passages, potentially reaching areas beyond the town's ramparts. But for some bizarre reason, there's an astounding number of wells in the Pilsen underground, all of which are concentrated in a small area. Hundreds of wells were dug out, ensuring that each house had its own water supply. This abundance of water resources was so vital that it led to the construction of a water tower and water wheel to distribute water throughout the town. Today, visitors can see a replica of the original water wheel from 1532, which still functions today, pumping water just as it did centuries ago. Aside from the original water wheel, artifacts used by those living in the settlement are also showcased in Pilsen Historical Underground to this day. Now, if that's not enough to entice you to visit Pilsen Historical Underground, you might be delighted to learn that a pass in this subterranean complex used to come with a voucher for 0.3 liters of Pilsner Urquell beer, redeemable at select
Hey, you sold me just then. Got me. I'll be there. Sign me up.
Pilsen restaurants. What better way to end your journey through history than with a taste of one of the world's most famous beers? Number 11. Setenil de las Bodegas. Nestled in the province of Cadiz, Spain, is Setenil de las Bodegas, one of the most amazing villages in the world. With a population of around 2,700, this town is by no means a large one. However, the Setenil de las Bodegas stands out because of its surreal appearance. The houses here aren't underground, but they are built into and beneath massive rock overhangs, which makes it look like it's underground. Setenil de las Bodegas dates back several centuries, and its name is derived from its historical winemaking activity. Bodegas translates to wineries. The town is part of the famous Pueblos Blancos, or white villages of Andalusia, known for their whitewashed houses and narrow winding streets. Unlike other white villages, which were often built on hills for defense purposes, Setenil de las Bodegas developed from a network of caves above the Trejo River. The caves provided cool shelter in the hot summers and warmth during the chilly winters. Many homes and shops are built into the rock itself, with stone roofs and even olive groves on top. This town has several notable attractions. The Moorish castle, Castillo de Setenil de las Bodegas, is also known as Nazari Castle. Built during the 12th and 13th centuries, it served as a stronghold during the Arab occupation. Nearby, the Church of Our Lady of Incarnation dates back to the late 15th century. Number 10. Churchill War Rooms. The Churchill War Rooms, also known as the Cabinet War Rooms, were constructed in 1938 as the threat of war loomed over Europe. Now, most people don't expect that these war rooms are located under the Treasury Building in Westminster. These rooms were fortified with thick concrete to withstand bombing, and just a week before Britain declared war on Germany in 1939, these rooms became functional. Walking through the war rooms, you step into the very space where Winston Churchill, his cabinet, and hundreds of civil servants directed the war effort. One of the most significant areas is the map room, a nerve center constantly updated with the latest intelligence and battlefront maps. This room remained in use every single day throughout the war, never going dark. Churchill's own office and bedroom are also part of the tour, complete with original furnishings that transport you back to the 1940s. Aside from the map room, the transatlantic telephone room is also astounding. It might look like a private toilet at first glance, but this chamber actually contains a secure line to the White House, where Churchill could communicate directly with President Roosevelt. This tiny, unassuming...
Imagine what they look like today. We're looking at war rooms from back then, right? Imagine what they look like today, the upgrades and everything like that. It probably look better than... I'd probably go out on a limb and say it does look better than the homes we probably live in. These war rooms probably come fully equipped with everything. They don't miss a beat, man. And what are we... It's exciting to think about. It's frustrating at the same time because I'm like, what do we have for us? Nothing.
The room played a crucial role in the Allied coordination. The war rooms also housed a canteen, a hospital, and various other facilities, making it a self-contained command center that could function even during the height of the Blitz. After the war, the rooms were left untouched until the 1980s, when they were restored and opened to the public by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in 1984. Today, only a portion of the approximately 200 rooms are accessible to tourists who would like to get a glimpse of these remnants of war. Number 9. Turda Salt Mine. Located in Transylvania is the Turda Salt Mine. Just like the salt mine of Wieliczka, the Turda Salt Mine isn't an ordinary source of salt. The Turda Salt Mine dates back to the Roman era, with evidence of salt extraction activities as early as the 11th century. Over the centuries, it played a crucial role in the local economy until it was closed in 1932. In the Second World War, however, the purpose of this mine drastically switched. From a source of salt, it turned into an anti-aircraft shelter, and later, it was used for cheese storage. Finally, in 1992, the salt mine was reopened to the public after extensive renovations that transformed it into a fascinating underground complex. Today, it boasts things you wouldn't expect to find inside a salt mine. It includes a mini golf course, 2 bowling alleys, a sports field, and an amphitheater with seating for 180 people. How cool is that? Number 8. Underground City. The underground city of Montreal, also known as Réseau, is an incredible network of tunnels that spans a staggering 20 miles beneath the bustling streets of downtown Montreal. Réseau is short for the French word network, making this underground city so aptly named. You see, this complex houses over 2,000 stores, 200 restaurants, hotels, museums, and even a hockey arena. It's like a city within a city, unaffected by Montreal's harsh winters and scorching summers. But how did this underground city begin? The origins of Réseau date back to 1962, when the first underground passages were built beneath Place Ville-Marie. From there, the network expanded rapidly, connecting key locations like Central Station, Place Bonaventure, and the Eaton Center. Today, Réseau covers about 12 square kilometers of floor space, making it one of the largest underground complexes in the world. The network links 7 metro stations, 2 commuter train stations, and various bus terminals, ensuring seamless transit throughout the city. The tunnels are adorned with public art installations, and there's a constant hum of activity as thousands of people traverse the pathways daily. It's a dynamic environment where you can find everything from high-end fashion to quaint cafes. And if you're into shopping, Réseau is also a paradise for shopaholics. In this underground complex are plenty of major shopping centers that offer everything and everything you'd wish for. Well, color me impressed. If you've seen Réseau in person, feel free to share your experience in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to read them. Number 7. Rangiri Dambulla Cave Temple. The Rangiri Dambulla Cave Temple might not exactly be underground, but this living Buddhist site just so happens to be nestled beneath overhangs and cliffs, giving it a somewhat underground look. The temple complex consists of 5 main caves, each brimming with ancient art, religious statues, and vibrant murals. These caves date back to the 1st century BCE, making the Dambulla Cave Temple the oldest cave temple in Sri Lanka. The history of this site is intertwined with the island's Buddhist traditions, and it served as a sacred pilgrimage site for centuries. Aside from its curious location, the Dambulla Cave Temple also boasts a collection of over 150 Buddha statues. These statues, ranging from small to life-sized, are beautifully crafted and provide a glimpse into the evolution of Buddhist art over the centuries. Today, the Rangiri Dambulla Cave Temple is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site that has captivated visitors for over 2 millennia. Number 6. Tunnels of Moose Jaw. The Tunnels of Moose Jaw are a series of underground passageways in Saskatchewan, Canada that date back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Initially, these tunnels were built to house boiler systems for heating buildings above ground. However, over time, they were used for something else. During the 1920s, when the sale of alcohol was illegal in the United States, Moose Jaw became a hotbed for bootlegging operations.
That's what I had the feeling he was gonna say. Either bootlegging or like an underground casino, something like that along the lines. I don't know if it was the suit and the hat the dude had on. It just made that feel like that's what they were about to tell me they were doing down there. And hey, you had to figure things out. You had to get it how you lived back then. So I get it.
What's more, the tunnels also helped the lives of Chinese immigrants in the country. Facing discrimination and harsh living conditions, many Chinese workers found refuge in these underground passageways. They lived and worked in these tunnels, often under appalling conditions to avoid the restrictive and discriminatory laws of the time. With that being said, the tunnels weren't exactly the most pleasant place to be in at the time. Today, however, visitors are free to explore these tunnels and be reminded of their long history. Number 5. Waitomo Glowworm Caves. You're not looking at a set of a fantasy movie. Rather, you're looking at the incredible Waitomo Glowworm Caves, an underground city of glowworms. This cavern is located on New Zealand's North Island. It formed over 30 million years ago during the Oligocene period when the region was still underwater. The cave's limestone, composed of fossilized seashells, corals, and fish skeletons, slowly formed as these marine deposits compressed and hardened over millennia. Geological movements eventually lifted these formations above sea level, where water erosion sculpted the intricate cave systems we see today. In 1887, Maori chief Tane Tenora and British surveyor Fred Mace first explored the caves using a raft made of flax stems. They were astounded by the glowworms' bioluminescence and the magnificent cave formations. By the late 19th century, Chief Tenora began guiding visitors through the caves, establishing one of New Zealand's earliest tourist attractions. In 1989, the management of the caves was returned to Tenora's descendants, who continue to play a significant role in its operation today. I don't know about you, but a visit to this place is now definitely on my bucket list. Number 4. Edinburgh Vaults. Constructed in 1788 as part of the South Bridge project, the Edinburgh Vaults were initially intended for use as storage spaces and workshops for merchants and tradesmen. The design provided much-needed additional space in the rapidly expanding city. However, due to poor construction and drainage issues, the vaults quickly became damp and unsuitable for their original purpose. As conditions deteriorated, the vaults took on a new role. They became a refuge for Edinburgh's poor and destitute, who found shelter in the dark, cramped spaces. The vaults also attracted illicit activities. Smugglers, thieves, all sorts of evil used these labyrinths to conduct illicit affairs away from prying eyes. By the mid-19th century, the vaults were abandoned and largely forgotten, sealed off, and left to decay. In the 1980s, however, a local businessman named Norrie Rowan rediscovered the vaults. Since then, the Edinburgh Vaults have been partially restored and opened to the public. Number 3. Kish Underground. Kish Underground City dates back over 2,500 years, originally serving as a qanat, a traditional underground aqueduct system used to transport water from the mountains to the arid regions. This underground complex spans a staggering 35.3 square miles, with tunnels reaching extensive distances. In recent years, however, the historical complex of Kariz has undergone a transformation into a modern tourist attraction. The tunnels now house various amenities, including shops selling traditional Iranian crafts, subterranean restaurants, and even an amphitheater for cultural performances. Number 2. Burlington. Burlington Underground City was a top-secret Cold War-era bunker located beneath Corsham in Wiltshire, England. This subterranean marvel spans over 35 acres and was constructed in the 1950s to serve as an emergency government headquarters in the event of a nuclear attack. The city's layout is nothing short of astounding. This complex was designed to house up to 4,000 government officials and military personnel for up to 3 months without outside contact. Burlington was equipped with everything necessary for survival: dormitories, kitchens, offices, a medical center, and even its own BBC studio to broadcast messages to the nation. The bunker also had an underground lake to supply fresh water and a dedicated telephone exchange to maintain communications with the outside world. People in Burlington are well equipped to survive the apocalypse, and yet the construction of Burlington was shrouded in secrecy. Initially, the site was a limestone quarry, which provided the perfect cover for the extensive excavation and building work. The secrecy was so intense that many locals were unaware of the full extent of what lay beneath their feet. The entrance to the bunker was hidden with an unassuming Ministry of Defense site, undetected and unnoticeable by average citizens. However, Burlington was never used for its intended purpose, just like the Berlin bunkers. Although Burlington was never used for its intended purpose, it remained operational and on standby throughout the Cold War. Its existence was a closely guarded secret until it was finally decommissioned and revealed to the public in 2004. And now it's time for today's topic. A man finds an ancient city underground when he demolished a wall in front of his house, and he was floored by what he discovered. There have been a lot of instances when people find the most unexpected things in their homes. This man, however, never thought that behind a stone wall in his home would be an entire sprawling complex that dates back to ancient times. Similar to Derinkuyu's rediscovery, this subterranean system might have served as a hiding place for people in hiding at the time. Until we discover more things about this hidden settlement, we can only speculate about which people thrived here in the past. Number 1. Subtropolis. Subtropolis might sound like a city straight out of a cyberpunk universe. In reality, Subtropolis is the world's largest underground business complex located in Kansas City, Missouri. This complex spans a staggering 55 million square feet and sits beneath 1,100 acres of land. This place was created from the remnants of a 270 million-year-old limestone mine, originally the Bethany Falls limestone mine. As mining operations ceased, the expansive empty space presented an opportunity. In 1964, Lamar Hunt, a prominent businessman and owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, developed Subtropolis into a commercial real estate venture. Today, it's managed by Hunt Midwest Real Estate Development Incorporated. In this place, the temperature always remains a comfortable 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. This natural climate control reduces heating and cooling costs by about 85% compared to above-ground facilities, making it an attractive option for businesses that require stable conditions for sensitive machinery or stored goods. Less electricity bills? No wonder business and profit-minded people are loving this place. What's more, the facility also features an extensive network of tunnels, with 16-foot-high ceilings and 40-foot-wide corridors supported by 25-foot square limestone pillars. This layout provides over 10.5 miles of paved roads and several miles of railway tracks, facilitating easy transportation within the complex. Today, Subtropolis is home to a diverse array of businesses and organizations. The U.S.
I wonder what they do to inspect each year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like building inspectors and different type of things, how they come through and check and make sure things aren't going wrong or deteriorating, or tell you some things that you could do to improve or to reassure and make sure. I wonder what do they do down here? Because I'm looking at these pillars and I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty strong. It looks sturdy. It looks, you know, like it's holding, but I wonder what could cause it to slowly deteriorate over time and what you can do to ensure that doesn't happen. That's what I want to know how they do every year.
U.S. Postal Service leases space for its stamp collection operations, while the National Archives and Records Administration uses the site for storing federal records. Data storage, food storage, film preservation, most organizations are taking advantage of Subtropolis conditions. The most awesome part? You see, unlike many underground facilities, Subtropolis is accessible to the public. Visitors can drive through its extensive network of tunnels, experiencing firsthand the scale and unique environment of this underground city.